Hi, thanks for joining me today. This video is going to focus a little bit on cultivating some arm strength to help us when we are in the saddle to have a little bit more stability. You'll notice that most of these poses not only are focused on core strength or arm strength, but are using core muscles also. So we are going to start today in table pose on all fours. So you shouldn't need any special props or anything for this practice. So come to all fours with your wrist underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath the hips. And think of pressing into the fingertips and the base of the knuckles. And what that does when you press into the fingertips, the base of the knuckles, it creates almost like a little suction and energetically draws the palm a little bit away from the mat, which helps to take the pressure off the wrist. So thinking of that as we are working through our practice today. So again, think of pressing into the fingertips, the base of the knuckles press into the tops of the feet. Nice neutral position for the spine. And as you take your next inhale, send the sit bones back, lengthen the front of the body, take the gaze forward and up. And then as you exhale, press into the hands and the tops of the feet, round the spine, drawing the belly in and up. So keep that going, moving with the breath, cat and cow. Inhale, send the sit bones back, lengthening the front of the body, gazing forward and up. And exhale, pressing the mat of the way as you draw that lower belly in and up. Keep that going, couple more times. Inhale. And exhale. Good, once more, inhale. And exhale. And this time as you inhale, just come back to neutral, back to table pose, and then bring your hands one handprint in front of where we started. Again, think of pressing into the fingertips, the base of the knuckles, hands shoulders distance apart, maybe a tiny bit wider. Curl the toes under, lift the knees a couple of inches off the mat, really draw that lower belly in and up, and then begin to send your sit bones up and back, coming to downward facing dog. So you can keep the knees bent, staying on the toes, nice length in your spine. You can pedal through the feet a little bit, press down through one heel and the opposite heel, or the legs can be straight, your option. But thinking again, we're building a little strength in the wrist and the forearms and the upper arms and the shoulders here. Inhale and exhale. Now really think of sinking your weight down into the left heel. We're going to inhale, lift the right leg up, three-legged dog. Keep weight even in the hands. It doesn't have to be high. You can just keep it hip level. Inhale and exhale. Now shift your weight forward towards your wrist over shoulders. Draw that right knee up towards the chest and then step the right knee all the way forward into a lunge. If it doesn't get all the way there, just take hold of it and help it step forward. Release the left knee down and curl the toes. Make sure the right heel is under the knee. Press into the feet. Float the arms all the way up and overhead as you extend the fingertips up. Think of drawing the lowest ribs towards the hips, engaging core. Inhale and exhale. Inhale again, think of lengthening up through the crown of the head. Exhale, release the hands down behind you. So either interlace the fingers, pressing the palms down, the knuckles down, or you can take hold of opposite elbows here. Think of opening up across the chest. If you'd like, you can lift the sternum, maybe take the gaze a little up, or keep the sternum lifted with the gaze more neutral, but opening through the front of the body. Inhale and exhale, and then release the hands, float the arms all the way up and overhead. Exhale, both hands down to the mat, curl the back toes under, lift the back knee, step that right leg back beside the left, come back to your downward facing dog. So again, couple breaths here. You can again pedal through the feet or keep the knees a little bit bent. Make sure you're breathing and think of that even weight in the hands, fingertips and the knuckles. Think a little bit more weight in the ball joint of the heel of the thumb, the corner of the thumb and the index finger. Inhale and exhale. Now inhale, lift the left leg up. Think of pressing down into that right heel. And then as you bring that left knee forward, shoulders over the wrist, hug that knee up towards the chest, step it all the way forward to your lunge, lower the right knee down and curl the toes. Press into the both feet, make sure the left heel is under the knee. Inhale all the way up to your lunge. Inhaling and exhaling, and then release the hands again behind. So think interlace the fingers, maybe opposite thumb on top this time, or opposite elbow leading if you are clasping the elbows. Draw the shoulder blades together, open through the chest, lift the heart and the sternum. Inhale and exhale, and then releasing the hands again, float the arms all the way up. Exhale, both hands down to the mat, curl the back toes under. Inhale, lift the back knee, step that left leg back beside the right. Downward facing dog. Breath here, inhale and exhale. And now release the knees down to the mat. Uncurl the toes and fold back to child pose. So hips towards the heels, forehead towards the mat. You can, if you'd like, make fists with the hands, let the head rest on the hands. You can sweep the hands back beside the feet, palms facing up. Let the shoulders relax, what feels good for you. Inhale and exhale. And if you have the hands beside the feet, go ahead and sweep the arms back in front. Inhale, come back up to your table pose. Make sure you have space behind you on your mat to extend the legs all the way back. So we're going to start again in that table pose, wrist under shoulders. Now extend your right leg back, press through the heel. Bring the left leg back to meet the right, coming into plank pose or upper push-up position. You can always keep your knees down to the mat for a little less pressure in the wrist and the lower back, so your option. But think of drawing that lower belly in and up so that we don't want the hips sagging, and think of kind of doming up through the back of the shoulders so we don't want the weight collapsing into the shoulders. Inhale and exhale. Again, press into the fingertips, the base of the knuckles. Inhale and exhale. Now release the knees down to the mat. Lift the feet, crisscross the ankles. Nice deep inhale. As you exhale, bend your elbows back towards your hips, lower all the way down onto your belly. Once you come onto your belly, extend the legs back, press into the feet, hands beside the chest, hug the elbows in, forehead to the mat. Inhale, lift the forehead, lift the upper chest, come up into a low cobra. Energy in the legs. We're not pressing into the hands. We're strengthening the back of the body. Exhale, lower back down. Now press into the hands. Inhale, come up to table pose. Curl toes under, sit bones up and back again, downward facing dog. Take a breath here. Inhale and exhale. Now this time from downward facing dog, bring your shoulders over your wrists, press through the heels, come back to that plank pose. So we're going to do that little sequence once again. Take a breath here. Inhale and exhale. Now your option, same as first time, you can bring these down, crisscross the ankles to lower down, or keep the knees lifted, roll through the toes, exhale, bend the elbows, lower all the way down onto your belly. Once you come to your belly, again, press into the tops of the feet, hands beside the chest. Either inhale up to that low cobra like we did before, or press into the hands, straighten the arms, come up to upward facing dog. So, and if you are in upward facing dog, really energy in the legs. If that does not feel good for your back, stay in this low cobra. Inhale and exhale, and then come through your table pose, knees down or pressing up to the knees, and then sit bones up and back again, downward facing dog. Take a breath. Inhale and exhale. And then releasing the knees to the mat, uncurl the toes. And this time as we come back to that child pose, kind of drag your hands back on your mat, spread the fingers wide as you lower the forehead down, sweep the hands behind you, palms up. And again, hands beside the feet if that feels okay. If you need a little support, just stack your hands again underneath the head. Inhale and exhale. And then sweeping the hands again back in front if they're beside the feet. So come up to table pose. We're going to pivot on this right knee. Bring the right foot behind us, straighten the left leg, right wrist underneath the shoulder. So we're going to make a line from this right wrist to the right knee to the arch of the back foot. Bring your left hand to your hip, revolve the torso towards the side of the mat, lengthen through the crown of the head. Inhale, bring the left arm up and overhead. So make sure you're not sagging into the shoulder. Really think of pressing in and up and out of that right shoulder. Inhale and exhale for a little bit more core if you'd like. Flex the left leg, lift that left leg up. If that leg is lifted, make sure you have energy in that leg. Press through the heel as if you're pressing it into a wall. Inhale and exhale. And then if you have that leg lifted, release the left leg down. Bring the left hand back to the mat, pivot back, those toes back behind you, right toes back behind you, left foot back behind you. Set up for variation, your variation, either back to child pose, hips towards the heels, forehead to the mat, or hands in front, press into the fingertips, sit bones up and back, downward facing dog. So a couple breaths before we do the second side. Inhale and exhale. Inhaling and exhaling. And now release the knees down to the mat. So we're going to do that second side. So start again in your table pose. Wrist under shoulders, knees under hips. So I'm going to do this same direction. You'll see it from the back this time, so it might be a little different to see how it looks from the opposite side. So we're going to pivot on this left knee, bring the left leg out behind, straighten the right leg, plant that right leg on the mat, sole of the foot to the mat. And then left wrist under the shoulder, or maybe a tiny bit in front. So think of that line, left wrist to left knee to arch of right foot. Right hand comes to the hip. Revolve the torso towards the side of the mat. Again, make sure you're not sinking into that left shoulder. Press into that hand, lift up and out of that shoulder. Right arm comes up and overhead. Inhale and exhale. And again, option if you'd like, lift that right leg up. Press through the heel, lengthen through the crown of the head. Don't forget to breathe. And then releasing that right leg down if it's lifted. Bring the right hand back to the mat. Again, we're going to pivot on that left knee. Bring the left foot back behind, the right leg back behind. And then again, your option, child pose. Hips towards the heels, forehead to the mat, or downward facing dog. Inhale and exhale. And then very gently come back again to table pose. So wrist again right underneath the shoulders. So this time we're going to build a little strength without pressure on the wrist. So elbows down to the mat. Elbows directly under the shoulders. You do a little alignment check. If you reach for opposite elbows, you should just be able to bring those top two knuckles to the outside edges of the elbows so they're not too far apart or too close together. Knees again under the hips. And then you can pivot. You can either bring the arms back out, forearms parallel, palms pressing into the mat, or you can interlace the fingers for more stability, whatever feels good. So extend the right leg back and the left leg back. Come back to our elbow plank pose this time. So again, great for upper body strength without pressure on the wrist. If you need more support for the lower back, always drop knees down. Make sure the hips aren't sagging. Lift up through that lower belly. Make sure the shoulders aren't sagging. Press into the elbows, lift up and out of the shoulders. Inhale and exhale. You can roll a little forward across the toes and press through the heel if you'd like. Inhale and exhale. And then pressing back through those heels, release the knees down, uncurl the toes, bring the hips down, press into the elbows, draw the shoulder blades together, press into the feet, open up through the front of the body. And then pivoting on those elbows, if you have the hands clasped, bring the arms out, back out parallel, and then lower all the way down, sweep the arms back behind you. So forehead to the mat, palms up. We're going to do a couple variations of locust pose, so your option here. So you can either now press the palms down, so rotate the hands so the palms are down on the mat. Draw the shoulder blades together, press into the feet. Inhale, lift up to a locust pose, either with the feet on the mat or the feet lifted. Another variation, clasp the hands behind you, press down through the knuckles just like we did in that lunge. Lift the head and the feet, or again, maybe the feet stay on the mat. Inhale. Whichever variation you're doing, and exhale. And then as you're ready, release the hands back down. Bring the hands beside the chest this time. Inhale, hug the elbows in, press up to table pose. And then once again, release back to that child pose, little release counter pose for what we just did. Inhale and exhale. And then pressing into the hands, come back up to table pose. So one more little sequence here. So again, as we are in our table pose, wrist under shoulders, we're going to start, this little sequence starts again with plank pose. So extend the left leg back and the right leg back. Press through the heel. Inhale and exhale. Now we're going to bring the right knee up towards the right elbow and then shoot the leg under the left leg. Flex that foot. Some people call this fallen warrior. Some call it fallen triangle. If you'd like, you can stay right here, wrist right under the shoulders, or bring that left arm up and overhead. Keep energy in both legs. Inhale and exhale. And then bring that left hand back down. If you lifted the left hand, bring the right leg back, send the sit bones up and back, downward facing dog. Inhale. You can always come to child pose here if you need. Inhale and exhale. Now come back forward to that plank pose. Make sure your wrists again are right under the shoulders. Now we're going to bring the left knee up towards the left elbow and then shoot the left leg under the right side of the body. Flex that left foot. Again, maybe both wrists stay on the mat. Maybe you float that right arm up and overhead. Inhale and exhale. And then bring the right hand back down if you have it lifted. Bring that left leg back out. One last downward facing dog. Inhale and exhale, and then release the knees down to the mat. Uncurl the toes, and again, just drag the hands back the mat, almost like you're flipping something behind you. Let the arms release down. Or again, maybe the hands under the forehead. Inhale and exhale. And then gently bring the hands beside the knees, press into the hands, and slowly bring yourself up to seated. You can be seated on your heels if that feels comfortable. If not, just come to a cross-legged position, so whatever feels best for you. So once you settle in here, we'll do a little release for the wrist. So bringing up palms together, we're just going to kind of rotate the wrists here. So back of the hands together, then the palms come back together, and you send the fingertips towards you and away from you. So just a little circling of the wrist here. And then you can go the opposite direction. Make sure you're breathing still. And then bringing the hands down, extend one arm out in front, palm facing forward, fingertips up, and just kind of use the opposite hand to just kind of draw those fingers back a little bit, get that release. And then the same thing on the opposite side, just feel that stretch, and then dial the fingertips down. Same thing, little stretch across the, drawing the fingers back for that stretch in the forearms, and then just do a little shake out of the arms. And then just let the hands rest on the thighs, palms up or down, whatever feels comfortable. Close the eyes for a few moments. Just notice how you feel. Notice any sensations in the body, any warmth or tingling. Notice if your body just feels stronger, more energized. And then very gently let the eyes open. So I hope you enjoyed this practice today. I hope it makes you feel a little bit more powerful, a little stronger as we strengthen the upper body and strengthen the core. I hope this helps you in the saddle or just in whatever activity that you are doing throughout your day. So I hope to see you sometime soon in the saddle or on the mat. Have a great day. Thanks. Bye-bye.